I finished the main storyline in Where Winds Meet and I'm about 80 hours deep right now. I'm having a good time, but I want to walk you through things that I generally wish I had known earlier in the game so you don't make the same mistakes I did. By the way, this is part 2 of this series, so if you haven't seen the beginner's guide yet, I'd recommend watching that first as a lot of this video builds off the back of that. No spoilers, of course, and cheers to Everstone Studios for sponsoring this video. And let's start with a mechanic I ignored for way too long, and that is oddities, which are collectibles dotted around the world that include insects, plants, animals that involve some sort of environmental puzzle, such as shooting beehives, catching fireflies or butterflies in midair, or just breaking specific crates to find crickets hiding underneath them, as you can see here. Now, the reason why you should not ignore them like I did is that these oddities can be redeemed at the oddity collector in your starting region, and in exchange for doing so, you will then get important game-changing upgrades in this rather large skill tree here. Now, these include increasing your max health, offensive attack power, and critically upgrading your stamina, or what the game calls endurance, which is this yellow tab next to your character here. And that dictates how often you can dodge, jump, and all the other cool movement stuff in this game that we will come onto. So by activating your wind sense ability that you unlock from Ruby in the early main storyline at the General Shrine, you can now see these oddities a lot easier when you're out in the open world exploring. And that is a very good thing, because it's very important that you get 21 of them sooner rather than later, and let me show you why. Because by doing so, you will be able to unlock this Wallstride Shadowdash ability from the very same oddity vendor by unlocking all of the passive buff skills before it. Now, not only is this faster than your horse, but you can also run across water, up all kinds of elevations and cliffs in this game without exhausting that yellow endurance meter we just spoke about. So it's a no-brainer to unlock early, especially if you're planning on sinking 50+ hours into this game. Just make sure that you have a level 4 exploration level before you do, which we discussed in the previous videos. So by not wasting your time and repeating myself here, I will link that at the end if you haven't seen it and you're interested. But just know that you also do take fall damage in this game, but to counter that, whilst you are in the air, make sure you use your ground slam ability, or alternatively, just jump off a cliff on your horse and you will be absolutely fine. But before you unlock your mid-game flying abilities, just remember to maximize your triple jump and then follow that up with a dash, as you will be able to cover a lot of ground in this game, especially since you've upgraded your endurance thanks to your oddity man there. Now, speaking of NPCs, that is a good transition onto building relationships with them in this game. So what is that mechanic all about? Well, what I would say, it is a very interesting mechanic, because each NPC has their own backstory, which you can access by just going to speak to them, and they all run on AI language models, essentially. So you can just keep going and going like you're speaking to ChatGPT. In fact, if you open the map and click this icon here, it will show you all of the NPCs that you can speak to in game. And if you then hover over them, it will then state their reputation or friendship level that you currently have with them. Now, there's two main benefits for making an effort with these NPCs. Firstly, some of them can join you in battle against big boss enemies or in dungeons, and this mechanic is called Signpost Assist, which you activate by engaging with the gold signpost near these assist areas. And I would recommend beating Zhuan Jinggang in the arena at the General Shrine here, as he'll pretty much solo a lot of the bosses in this game for you, and dungeons actually. And secondly, if you don't want to chat with the AI, you kind of had enough of AI for now, I don't blame you, that's fine. A little trick is just to kind of repeat their last words in the chat back to them. And if you do that enough, they'll end up liking you enough and just raising your reputation with them to Revered, which is the max level. And that's kind of what you want, because once that happens, they will then send you gifts, which is very kind of them, every Sunday and Wednesday, which will then appear in your private messages here, which you can of course collect. But speaking of being social, what is the deal with solo mode, co-op, and online multiplayer? Well, if we go ahead and press start, and then if we tab to this icon in the middle of the screen, this will then take you into the mode menu. Now, the best way to kind of remember this or think about this is that solo mode is your main character save file where all your story and exploration progress is saved. However, if you were to create a co-op lobby whilst you're in solo mode, you then become the host, but you firstly need to be level 10, and you will then be able to continue your storyline with your friend. But critically, their story progress will not count alongside yours. That said, you do both benefit from looting everything in the open world, but only if you are 300 meters within one another, which after testing this range for you in game is approximately around what you're looking at here in terms of distance. So just be aware of that, or neither of you will get each other's loot. Now, as for online mode or multiplayer, it unlocks at level 3, and it's a little bit different here in the sense that you can't complete any major storyline quests inside it, but you can see other players in the open world. You can join groups to kill world bosses together and participate in dungeon runs together. So check that icon out on the top of your screen if you're wondering where quests have gone, because it's probably because you've then forgotten to switch back from either co-op or online or multiplayer mode back into solo mode. But what about guilds? That is another social mechanic. Is it even worth bothering with in this game? Well, the guild mechanic unlocks at level 20, and even though that there's thousands of guilds that have been now founded by the player base, there's only 3 categories that a guild can be placed in before it's created. The first are combat focused guilds, and these are for those of you who want to predominantly play the game for its online multiplayer and PvP aspect. The second are leisure focused guilds, which are more focused around players who like to play mini games. So you like to play your chess, you like to take part in the entertainment events all around the open world, as well as focus on earning money through trading. And thirdly, in the exploration guilds, they are for those of you who like to play this game in solo mode and who also don't mind occasionally dabbling with a little bit of co-op every now and then. Now, you can make a guild for yourself, but I would recommend joining a established guild in one of these 3 categories, as the benefit to you in doing so means that you can passively start earning rewards thanks to the contribution of 80 or so other players who are already in the guild, and they're already completing the weekly guild events that are orientated around how you like to play this game. So that essentially means that you get treasure tokens to redeem in the guild shop for cosmetics and rewards, which you wouldn't have otherwise been available to you if you didn't join a guild. But guilds are completely different from sects, so let's simplify what on earth those are right now. So you can join a sect from level 10, and I like to think of them as in-game organizations with specific beliefs or rules. So if you join one of the 11 sects in-game, you will get a unique outfit, weapons, special ultimate abilities, and unique quest lines. However, there is of course a caveat with this, which is that if you want the best stuff a sect has to offer, you need to ensure that you play by the rules that they set. So for example, if you decide to join the Well of Heaven, they are kind of like a Robin Hood outfit essentially, where they rob from the rich and they give to the poor. So one of their rules is that if you earn too much gold or money in 1 week playing this game, your preset value or reputation with them essentially will then suffer and it will reduce. So the quest that you do complete for the sect that week may be a complete waste of time because you then broke their rules by just hoarding too much cash. So with that in mind, it is important that you take the time to go through all of the sects here and check out their ultimate abilities for a weapon you enjoy using the most, as they are very powerful in the game. That said, you can choose not to join a sect and then you become sectless, but by doing so, it will mean that it will take you longer to get an ultimate martial ability. So pick one, start the clue quest, and try and abide by their rules is my recommendation here. But whilst we're on the topic, that is a nice transition onto some combat tips and tricks I genuinely wish I had known sooner before playing this game. Now, you may find that it's really easy just to kind of spam your attack button in this game and just call it a day, which is totally fine. But in my opinion, the game becomes really fun if you use the right abilities and attacks at the right time. Firstly, I think it's important to reiterate here that we do not want to become exhausted, as it means that we can't defend or attack, which, if you didn't know, is the bar here below your health bar, which depletes every time that you get hit. And what's crucial to know is that it isn't connected to your yellow endurance bar, which reduces only when we physically attack or dodge in this game. Now, the same mechanics apply to enemies, but to get them into that exhausted state quicker, what we want to do is we want to use wind vision first of all to inspect them before you fight them, which then helps you identify their weaknesses. So in this example here, this guy is going to take 20% more damage and chi loss, which is that blue bar below his health bar, against weapons with bell strike associated with them, which, as you can also see, is what my sword is here. Now, to get enemies chi to drop quicker, we're going to use a special skill ability, which, as the game tells us, is specifically designed to be used to break chi quickly. Now, as you can see here, 2 of my special attacks reduces his chi bar to next to nothing, which is perfect and a lot faster than just spamming attack for sure. Now, once we get him into this exhausted state, the benefit to us is that they take a lot more damage, but it is time limited, and we've got until the timer runs out around this diamond here to do as much damage as we want before we then activate this execute ability. So to capitalize on all of this, we will use a charged heavy attack for more damage, and then we're also going to follow up with a special martial art bell strike ability, which of course is maximized further because of the enemy's weaknesses. And after that, before the exhausted timer runs out, you got to be quite quick. We're going to finish him off by pressing the triangle and circle on the controller. It's going to be different, of course, for you on PC, but you get the point. We're then going to execute him for even more significant damage, meaning you can pretty much one-shot enemies by getting your rotation correct and just playing a lot smarter. And this is a really nice transition onto stealth, I think, because it's also very overpowered in this game if you use it correctly. Now, there are two critical skills that you should unlock early for stealth. The first is the Veil of Stillness, which you can get by finding the skill theft quest at the Moon Veil Mountain from level 8, which allows you to turn invisible for a short time. And if you combine that with the Touch of Death skill that's earned by solving the puzzle in the Echoes of Old Battles dungeon at the Northern Ruins here on your map, you can now perform a one-hit kill from behind. In fact, it also allows you to clear camps and stealth past enemies in dungeons pretty easily and quite quickly. But you can also, this is what I have a lot of fun with, triple jump over enemies and then instant kill them from the air, kind of like Batman or something, which is, yeah, it's really great fun to do when I was clearing outposts, as you can kind of see here. Spent a lot of time doing that. Now, I'd also recommend unlocking the Meridian Touch ability by starting the quest near Stonewash Strand here, as you can freeze enemies, keep them in place, and then once you're happy, you can, of course, stealth over to them and one-shot them, which is quite satisfying. Also, consider unlocking the Celestial Seas ability, which you earn in the main storyline at Heaven's Pier, and this means that you can steal items from NPCs and enemies all around the world after you inspect them, just like we did with the enemies and their weaknesses just earlier in the video. And if you combine all of that together, you've got yourself a pretty awesome stealth build as an option in your kind of armory of skills and tricks and potions for the rest of the game. But to actually use all of these abilities, you're going to need to unlock your Mystic skill slots, which is where talents come in quite nicely. Because after you unlock them from Ruby again at the General Shrine, it's really easy to forget about them quite quickly, as this is at the point in the game where it throws even more at you. So let's go into the develop menu specifically, and as you can see, it's kind of split up into 3 subsections here. Now, I would recommend that you focus on the basic talent tree early on, because boss talents, which unlock at level 16, if I remember correctly, and arena talents, which unlock at level 24, are designed to help you with specific boss fights or, of course, PvP, and they're just not massively impactful until the mid to late game. Now, like other RPGs, you do get points, or these talent points, for leveling up, but in this game, you also earn them via a collection of enlightenment points, which are awarded for pretty much everything, like questing, opening chests, or just exploring. And again, it's another thing that's very easy to lose track of because they aren't pinned to your main XP bar. And what I mean is that you could earn a talent point just by spam opening chests without actually leveling up your character at all. So make sure you regularly go back and check your talent point menu here and spend those points pretty consistently throughout your time with the game. And speaking of which, actually, another hidden away mechanic you also shouldn't ignore is professions. So let's go through together what they are right now. Well, at the time of recording this video for you, when you hit level 13, you've got 2 professions to choose from. You can either be a healer or a scholar. Now, the reward for choosing one of these is going to provide you with general stat increases, crafted items for combat, and unique cosmetic items such as the Penstroke Posy for the scholar and the Art of Healing for the healer profession. Now, how this works is that you become a healer. You can then, of course, heal NPCs or other players around the world by partaking in a mini game where you need to defeat the injury, which is the enemy in this context, by playing this card game against them. Now, the same thing goes for the scholar, where you partake in the Gift of the Gab mini game, where you can then play cards against your opponent to defeat them with witty or clever banter. Now, by doing so, you earn career notebooks, which you can then spend to increase your level and brew combat healing potions or earn scholar talismans for very good buffs in the end game boss encounters. So it is worth the investment in taking time to level up these professions if you plan to play this game for a decent amount of time and get involved in the future updates and additional content that they've got planned for months and years to come. Now, if you've watched this far and you still haven't downloaded this awesome free game, you can do so from the PS5 store page, Steam on PC, and the official Where Winds Meets website. It's also available to download on your mobile as well, and you can find a link to all of those platforms down below. I've also made another helpful video for you just like this one with even more tips and tricks in it, so give that a click on your screen right now, and hopefully I will see you there in a second. My thanks to Nika for helping me make this video. Do subscribe if you're new to the channel. I will hopefully be making more of these videos if you enjoy them, and as usual, coffee is on me.